Was this the new one with the budget? With that budget, so it's in that budget.
Yeah. So he's been through a month. But we did just pick the fund. That plan.
I will.
And 70.
1071. This is
1071.
Yeah.
So let's go.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's fine.
330.
But you're not lying.
Yeah.
Is John on? Is there anybody? Okay, well, we still have a forum, so I'll call the meeting to order. Verify the meeting was properly noticed. Almost wasn't.
Sorry?
Almost wasn't.
This doesn't count.
That's right. Okay. I have someone make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, approval of the meeting minutes.
Move to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, owner comments?
Just one comment. Some real estate people may come in. A couple of people have been talking to me, so they may be late. I don't know. But when they come in, I'd ask that we let them speak at that point and hear what they have to say if they have anything to say. I don't know if they'll show up or not. So I was told they were going to.
Gonna give it a time limit.
Well, it's not your rigid. Let's,
5 minutes per hour, normal.
Yeah,
let's just,
yeah. Real estate people can really talk.
all right, be polite.
Okay, August financial review.
I apologize if you didn't see it in your emails.
I have,
It made me worry when you emailed me first and then
Right.
he emailed right after and I'm like, what
Oh,
happened?
yeah, I didn't see a response to your email. So-
Yeah, I was looking at, because I kept looking at the site, you sent it to my Proton email. That's why I didn't see it.
You want us to change that?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Okay, I got worried. I asked Lauren, did everybody get it? Okay, so we had this month ended with a loss as expected, but hopefully not as much as we did originally expect. Big drivers being the mulch, pine straw, and maintenance. Due to some cable repairs and some fitness repairs. Hopefully it didn't change too much from the first rendition.
No, just that I would do it.
Reclass, yeah.
Just some comments. Obviously, revenue is up 28,000, which is always a good thing. The landscaping costs, obviously, were up 68,000 due to the mulch and pine straw that the board approved to do. Pool chemical repairs were 20,000 over in August. Did the Eco Lab contract start in August? So is that part of that number?
It starts in September. They're installing.
Okay.
They have completed.
as long as you're talking about that, is that in the board book for a contract increase? Is that the same company?
That's your cleaning and day-to-day maintenance. And they're,
Okay,
Not related to the chemicals.
the Ecolabs is
Oh.
your chemical.
the dispenser
and it's-
equipment.
And then, of course, we're gonna see the 10,600 rent every month. And obviously, it's not budget.
So that's 2 months. That's August and September. So it's 5,300. Not 10,600.
Okay. So we prepaid a month?
It'll look like we don't in the budget that August was paid and September was paid.
Oh, I think they had to have a deposit. They had to, there was a,
The August, what was originally thought was August, what deposit? We had listed it as August, so this was then do August.
August to September?
We should have paid double in August for the deposit in the August. There was only one payment in August, so the made it up in September.
Okay, so then the deposit should go on the balance sheet.
Yes, correct. That's why I was verifying. I was like, hold on, missing something.
Okay. Well, you can fix that.
Well, if she's saying it's not gonna hit until September anyway, then not.
Oh,
Is that what I'm understanding?
I thought in August we paid the deposit in August rent. And in September we'll pay the September rent.
Yes. Oh, okay.
Okay, anybody else have any comments on the August financials? Hi, John.
I have one, just for perspective. So year to date, we're at a $55,000 deficit. And we have a forecast of about $160,000 at year end, 163 or whatever it is, I think still. So that leaves about $100,000 for the remainder of the year with 4 periods left. So we can, absorb based on our forecast, $25,000 a period for the next 4 periods. So that's about where we're sitting. I think that's fairly reasonable based on the way the periods have been falling. We might beat it a little bit. I don't think you'll knock it out of the park, but probably going to be pretty close to that forecast. So I think the forecast is still tracking good.
Yeah, the only thing, again, the Ecolab contract of it's going to increase pool expenses.
Isn't that happening right now? Ecolab?
Starting in September.
Starting in September. So
It was-
You're not seeing it on your August financials.
How much more was that year? I know you ran that.
It's 12,000 a month, right?
You get that speed probably.
It's 13,000 a month less some of the pool chemical costs, so it's not,
Yeah, so you're not gonna pay the pool
you're
chemical.
going to net probably 7,000-8,000,
Yes.
7,000 to 9,000.
Lab shows is 157,000 on your sheet
Right,
relative to budget. Is that an annual basis more?
that's their contract.
That's okay.
You're going to reduce some
Some offset.
chemical costs.
I don't have the opposite.
There's just a couple questions on the town architect. That was 4,400 this month, but it was nothing last month. So is that truly all activity in August, or is that 2 months combined? It was like, I think it was 2,000, then it was 4,000, then it was 0, then it was 4. So just curious, because I know we had that conversation earlier, but I think we need to revisit that at the board.
Well, it's on your board agenda to reduce scope.
Right, we're just curious, was any scope reduced in August, or he was just doing what he wanted to do kind of thing?
We had a discussion with him about limiting work and the staff limiting the residents that they were pushing to him to work with him individually.
Okay,
So
so that
it
might
was
be a
reduced,
transition.
yeah.
And then hopefully we'll see a more normalized number through the rest of the year. Okay. And then their security, monitoring was 4,000. Was that the Spring Park monitoring over here?
No, that's your EMS panels at the pools.
So I was looking at that and that was showing up as like 20,000 over the last 3 months. So it seems a little strange. I think it was page 25. So yeah, if I look at monitoring on page 25, it was 11,419 in June, 2,500 in July, 4,500 in August. So what are those, what's that, pretty much 19,000 the last 3 months associated?
Monitoring is only 20,000 for the year.
Yeah, but it's 14,000 over budget.
And then 19,000 over the last 3 months, when it was pretty much zero.
Yeah, wasn't that for the Spring Park?
That's what I'm asking.
That's what he asked.
Yeah.
So I'll clarify.
That was my assumption, because they kept saying that there was a lot of
Because there's a second question here, if that's really. So I wanted to confirm that first, and then I'll ask you guys the next question.
The other question I have is as far as the rest of the year, the landscaping, repair and maintenance are,
This is what it was.
are they gonna level?
They're gonna level out. you
I
mean?
mean, are we gonna?
No.
No.
No, they're gonna be over budget. That's the run rate.
Like continue to go up.
Yep. That's a new run rate.
That's.
We've got a new run rate in that area. Budget 2 mulch for next year, landscaping's up. The contract is priorities. Yeah, exquisite.
You did, but. I was.
Just
cost savings from your.
And the addition of projects,
I
a
guess,
large amount of the addition of projects, which are still, there's still more in the pipeline, so you're still keep seeing those coming through.
so
They're
let's say-
the nature of repairs, we're not buying. They're what's left is the nature of repairs.
There are,
Done any repairs lately.
no, a lot of this is not just standard maintenance, it's changing out of sod of plants or trees.
We're not like buying furniture, buying assets.
No, and if we are, those are
Reserve.
placements and those are going to the board as a reserve.
all right, so monitoring looks like starting in July, instead of it broken out by the areas, they're just doing one. So not too big of an increase, but was it close to 20,000, the monitoring that we paid for Spring Park here while the playground was being built? That was a separate piece, correct?
It was like 1,500 a week.
Yeah,
Not
for
even.
8 weeks, right?
Yeah.
So I guess my question would be, is that something that could be pulled from capital because it would be associated with the Spring Park playground as a cost within the, so it wouldn't be coming from operating, it'd be coming from the total cost of that playground enhancement would be.
It's a
And if
project.
that's 10 or 12,000, then that might help us a little bit on our operating side through the whole year.
It's legit. My question is, the monitoring, if that's a number that's been consolidated, where's the savings then or the offset? I don't see another place where there's a savings. I think you said it's consolidated there. You're not breaking it up by area. I don't know where the
I don't
offset
think,
is.
I don't think there's a savings.
So it's
It's
offset, so that's,
it's
we're
just-
truly over budget for this. Yeah, so. The cause is being over budget, not because it got consolidated. You could take that out and put it into capital. For the project costs.
And that with Jennifer, I think there's 4 million in capital right now, but 400,000 is earmarked to come out in September to pay for that playground. So if that's the case, then it could be a September transaction to clear out this expense too, to improve the operating budget as well. Just last thing, more housekeeping, I think, is on the last page of the summary. I thought we usually got a breakdown of the maturities and amounts, but we didn't get that this month. So
Separate
That's a
attachment.
separate
Definitely.
it's
investment.
It was because it was all on like page 522, so I just do it as separate attachment now.
Okay.
And we,
No, I just,
Didn't see it, okay.
yeah, sorry, my head's a little right now. So
No worries.
missing all kinds of stuff regarding the.
there are no charges from the landscape architect,
I don't think so. I think it's just,
The next maturity is October 31st. And on September 5th, so we're good till October 31st. We might want to consider longer maturities as they come up. We should think about that.
rather than 12 months.
Yeah. Rates are going to come down. The 10-year yield went up when they lowered the federal rate, which is kind of interesting. Nobody understands that. But yeah, we should probably think about extending our maturities.
But now my instructions from the board is the 12 years, so if you want to make a new suggestion.
12 years.
Sorry.
They don't have to do it 12 years. Stops at 10. I don't know, what do you think? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, even if we put it out to
We might as well ride,
18 months on some of them.
yeah, we might as well ride the
to get
wave.
rate.
Not gonna get any better money anyplace else.
The only thing I wouldn't do for all of them, because we don't know what's happening with 851. If we're gonna have to take a bunch of money out of capital to pay for repairs and all that.
Well,
The one that was renewed on 9/4 was 3.89. So that's the lowest one so far.
3.89. Really?
That you go on, the 2-year curve is like 3.
Really dropped that fast.
So do you want to make a change or do you want to? Because we'll have to put it on a board workshop, because the vote, the current vote from the board is the 12-month ladder.
So the
Could,
next one,
could there be the discretion of the finance committee to make it either 12, 6, 12, or 18 months?
Yeah, if that's how you want to word it. I have to get the board to vote again. So
I think we should, because we're not gonna find a better place, and we're gonna still have money. I know we've got some expenses coming, but we're gonna have idle capital sitting there.
Yeah.
We got more than enough money. So we should try to get some interest on it. It's the best we're gonna get without any risk.
And if you notice the one that's in October's over 1,000 just for one, and you have another one for 260 or so. So you got both of those between reserves and capital in October.
I don't see any downside in riding the curve, going out further. Because each month it's gonna change. And it's, right, it's gonna be a slippery slope now. So I think we want to extend a little bit.
Yeah.
do you want to propose something like a 12 to 24 month?
Jim said.
I think that's perfectly fine.
Jim said 6, 12, or 18, just get us authorization for that. We'll make it
6, 12, or 18, because again, nobody knows what's gonna happen in.
If something happens, we could always come back and say, we want to go 24 on this one or whatever.
Yeah, just do 6 to 24.
6 to 24 then, yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions on August? Okay, if we can move on to a 2025 budget update to include compensation rate. Start
Yeah,
with
so
compensation.
Let me kick this off with you guys, because as we were looking at earlier this year, or this month, it was up in the air of what was gonna be in and what was gonna be out of the cost sharing agreement. So at that time, I saw that there was more negotiation. That's why I was steering toward keeping it up. As of last week, there's further conversation with Kanoa. There was the first revision of the cost sharing agreement. Marketing specialist is a turnip in that contract. So based on, nothing's been signed yet, we're going to meet with them on October 1st. But with the new information that came out last week, I asked Lauren to rerun the numbers for what it would look like. And then after seeing that, that's when I said it was appropriate to share with you guys so that we would have our discussion today. So I wanted to understand it wasn't a unilateral decision or just, it's in the budget, it's there. It's, okay, this is new information that has come to us and adjusting what our last revision is to include that. So we have the conversation. And the last comment I'll make is if the reserve study came in prior, I would have updated that number too and have that sent out to everyone so we see what that number is. And then we'd have our discussion tonight on, does it stay, does it go, how do we fix it, what the adjustments are. So I just wanted to clear that with everyone here, that it wasn't something where I asked her to throw it in and that's it, no discussion, but that it's the next piece of information that's there and we're here to have a discussion on it.
I don't want to speak for the whole finance committee, but I would have certainly appreciated if you had sent to me, or to the finance committee in particular, that preliminary was included in there, so you ask you to increase the budget. So instead of just being surprised that we got it in the budget, would have been informed of what the reason was that it was happening.
I agree. I think it's very easy to include the, I can't even see.
Hotspot.
Face this way. I think it's very easy to include the committee, and that's what we're here for, to have discussion. We should be privy to all the information. I don't think you should unilaterally consult with Lauren and advise her to do something like that. I would have appreciated getting Lauren's logic behind it, because I had never seen the logic. I had never seen the logic of the fallback position if you can't settle with the Canoa. What happens to the contract, where it reverts the doors or whatever it is, and how damaging that could be. So as I said, I think the logic is good, but I'd like to have a conversation with that collectively, and not have it dictated to us. That formula is what it is, but I can tell you one thing: if Canoa were to invoke that or do that, I mean, to be very quick, that I would propose that we put it through to the residents and tell them your fees are going up by this amount because Canoa no longer is going to pay this. They don't want to pay this anymore. And that would wreak havoc with their businesses and the support community. So I think someone's got to be bold enough when they come in here and start dictating, we don't think we're getting enough and we're not going to pay this or pay that. Make sure you recognize we have some leverage here. I mean, we're building the community. They don't get a lot of support from the community now. They really don't. I mean, I eat out in the restaurants a lot, and there's not a lot of locals in there. And if they want to get silly with this, which I think they're going to push until someone says stop, you better play hardball with this.
Without getting into it too much, I think it's probably something where there's gonna be a 1-year deal, and after that, I can't tell you what the future's gonna be. We'll see where
Yeah, but-
that conversation.
Right, but I watched the dynamics in the room here when they were here that day. And we were totally on the defensive. And I know we were just listening and everything else, but Lee Moore came in, and Lee's a friend and everything. But he came in and pontificated about why they don't think they're getting value for everything, whatever else. As somebody said, should we justify all of our fees to every one of our residents for everything we pay for? I don't use the fitness centers. I don't use the pools. I don't use the playgrounds, whatever. It's just part of the package. And I think Canoa is just part of the package. And if they don't want to play that any longer, I would be very supportive of being stiff with them, because if you open, they're testing right now. They're probing. And if you open the door here too easily, I think the horse is going to get out of the barn.
We're gonna have a meeting next week with them, so
But
that should be, I think, more fruitful discussion and more two-way discussion than the first joint meeting.
yeah, and I had the discussion in the hallway with some people, and they need to understand fixed cost, variable cost, overhead, cost sharing, the part of the community, all those things, because we're never going to be able to itemize and justify to them why that number's the way it is. There's a lot of things that were established in the Disney documents. If they want to veer off the Disney documents now, fine, but there'll be a repercussion. We'll put that together.
Disney put it together.
That's a Disney document then. Yeah.
Disney put it together, and Disney was the one running the Canoa and CJC boards for the last, 25 years. To Disney, from the business perspective, to Disney, that's pocket change. The businesses were always pushing back to Disney saying, why are we paying so much?
But I guess because we heard all that, is Grand Matters doing anything to try and justify the amount that is charged?
To
To
Canoa? I mean,
And the amount of people that are involved, the support, the overhead costs, the expenses, all of that.
I can put numbers together, but I don't think I can get it to $500,000 in terms of benefit that they're getting from that, in terms of the support that they get from us, even if I pull in the back office support.
But I think that's a conversation we have to have next week with them, as far as, it's not just all value, because the point of the cost sharing is that your cost is less than if you were going to do it alone. And to pay the full management fee, to pay the full labor burden fee, all the salaries, things of that nature, that will add up. So that's what we're focusing on, the value piece of it, but it should be a partnership between the two entities on what works. So we'll see where that will go.
Well, I think you need to be prepared in that meeting, because they're going to be on the offensive. And I think they already feel they've gained some ground. And I don't know what your rationale is going to be, but it's going to be a negotiation, so be ready for that. In the meantime, we're leaving it in.
Come on, it's specialist. It's their one ask.
I'd like to have more discussion on that when we go through the compensation.
Well, the market ask, I mean, this is the item that maybe could lead to a 1-year deal, right?
Yes. The current proposed term for Kanoa is a marketing specialist. No major management company changes without their involvement and a 1-year renewal.
Do you think about asking for more than a year? So we don't have to revisit this in a year?
Support both entities. I can't do that.
I think we should, well, then who's,
I pushed for a multi-year and they were kind of standoffish that they only.
well, they're gonna want to nibble around the edges as time goes on. They're gonna want to come back to the table again. I don't think we should, we know what their position is. I think we should be looking for something longer term.
Without showing my hand, I have a few things that we'll see how we take on responses back from Crow's position to them.
Okay,
What's the normal term of this contract? Yeah, because I kind of concur with Mike. I mean, listening to Mike, I wish you were, and no disrespect to the Crower board, it'd be good for you to be sitting there partly helping negotiate this, to be honest with you. What I'm really afraid of is on Kanoa. Kanoa sees that we're kind of over, well, we're stuck between a rock and a hard place. And what I'm really worried about is if we negotiate and settle for a year and with a renewal, they're going to come back in a year and a half from now, and just, it'll be a repetitive process. And I know you guys are doing your best, but it's going to be a repetitive process where they're just going to keep on asking for more or offering less. And that's why I asked, so what has been the historical trend in terms of how many years do we usually negotiate? And lock
yeah,
in?
match the 3-year contract with Grand Manners.
And John, before that, there was about 10 years of the 75-25 split. And before that, it was a 2/3, 1/3 split.
Well, there was a compromise when the Grand Manners contract was settled. Entered into to get their approval of it.
Right. We gave
It
it back.
capped it. Yeah, you remember that? Okay.
Yep.
So the 3-year term is the shortest term of the cost sharing agreement progression.
What's the mix looking like in the budget that we're looking at now? Crow versus. Like 23. I had run it a while ago. I think it's 22 or 23.
$21 for the proposed one.
And I guess the only positive from a budget perspective is that we were originally cutting the communications coordinator position, where this would be a reallocation of what that resource would be.
And make sure, sorry,
Uh,
make sure that as we do this, and if we enter into it, that we keep the options open for us to use that position too. I don't believe this have to be a dedicated full-time person to them. I would not get that language in. It's a marketing person that's available to them. Just leave it generic, and maybe you can get some use out of it too with your staff.
Use a marketing system
I know. I mean,
for all 4 entities.
And it was communicated, like we said, with our new marketing manager, we are currently hiring that a percentage. Kanoa, and that was what we tried to keep as a proposal. Additional headcount off the table.
Communications manager.
Communications manager, is that what I said?
You said marketing.
Oh, I'm so
Just
sorry. Yeah,
don't repeat it
communications
once.
manager.
No, that was the original discussion that we had. was
That's where it got
communication, because we're hiring this new communications person. Until we really see what that person can do with all their skills and whoever we hire, would they have, how much time would they have to be able to commit to Kanoa? And then if you're hiring another position, like I did say, could you get a couple interns, or could you get a much lower position for marketing that's reporting to that communications person and not increasing the budget as much?
We empathize with this committee. That is Kanoa's ask. And here we are.
Yeah, so I don't think Kanoa would take interns, but Katie had a good possible idea of instead of doing an individual employee, do you do some type of a marketing agency to do work? Is that then more cost effective, but better or equal performance for what they're looking for? So something to be discussed.
Just have to know how to manage that from the standpoint of kind of what direct and market firm, how, what's the limit out there?
Well, that has to go through Lauren or well, communications at Grand Manors, then that's the outlet to that.
Okay, could we go on to the compensation discussion, please? Just as an overall comment, as we know, we are between 24 and now the budget of 25. With this position, we have a 24.4% increase in compensation. We've gone from 3.7, adding 3.75 positions after adding 4.5 positions in 2023 and 24. So that's over 8 positions over the last 2 years that we're adding to the administration of Grand Manors. So I just want to put that out. That's pretty 24% increase in compensations.
So for the switch from not speaking to headcount, the transition from 24 to 25 also includes rate changes for key management positions to bring in better quality talent. One of them is the general manager. That's a sizable bump. Another one is the director of facilities and operations. That's another good bump. The maintenance supervisor was bumped. You are seeing some savings because we combined the lifestyles and parks and rec department underneath one manager, and we downgraded the salary from the communications man, the new communications manager that we're hiring. So that's not an added body count. It's just a downgrading of that position from the lifestyle communications director to just communications manager. In 25, you're adding one maintenance tech, an inspector halfway through the year, and then you have those seasonal park monitors and that's a big driver as well.
I'll add that without sharing the numbers, some of the positions were substantially under market for what you would be expecting from the fields. So those adjustments hopefully bring in better talent, then we can see better performance in the community.
Okay, so what I asked for a couple times now was to look at 2025 Corolla versus 2024 Corolla. It's up 200 some thousand, I think, from memory. I was looking for my sheets and I can't find it. I sent you, but do you have my comment?
So look, 200,000 that you're referring to, and that's what, without giving you exact numbers, that's what Lauren.
But I'd like to, can we see that with, it's this head count, it's this head count, and that totals this. Merit increases total this. Adjustments to get a better range on employee pay is this. So we see a justification of that dollar overage. Right now, we're just looking at numbers and listening to things and I can't,
Yeah.
I'd like to see it justified.
Are you asking to see salary?
No,
for the position?
no.
Just
No.
what
How much
Lauren
would bring-
said, just I'll put numbers to what I just spoke to and email it out to everybody.
Yeah, then we're just looking for.
I've asked for this like 3 times now. To justify that back at it. So I'm not sure what, am I not communicating right or what's?
I guess, do you want to break it out into,
Pick your big categories. So it's, you know, confidential. Pick the categories. Merit typically, adjustments, headcount, three
Right,
categories.
yeah, okay.
Maybe increase in benefits. Maybe
Because
that's
I
a
would
category.
think, and we'll get the exact numbers, but the salary increases are probably 150,000 of that number, if not more. And then you could probably expect an inflation adjustment for salaries, so you can have these.
Yeah, but that's what we're asking for. I mean,
But for both
And then
CROA,
the additional 3.5.
for both CROA and CJC.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you can get the three numbers for it.
Seems like every year we go through this, and I've been around for 3 or 4 years now. We have trouble with getting clarity, transparency on headcount. And I think it's probably good, but I'd just like to see the numbers. So we have some kind of logic behind it.
Send that out tomorrow.
I should have done the calculation, but this market, what do you have this new marketing position in? Salary?
Put it in at 60.
Okay, anybody else have any more discussions on the budget at this point in time?
Talk about if we throw 1.4 million replacement, what that does for us.
Yeah.
Because we got that number.
13%.
So that's the next.
You get it?
You see the 13% increase.
Yeah, she said she got it today, so if you can send that out to the committee
I
too.
sent it,
Pull it up too. I mean, pull it
We
up.
can, yeah,
I sent it lower sitting here.
okay. I know we just got it, so it's not something we can digest that quickly, but just looking at how that changes.
Was there any,
what our thoughts are, how to alleviate that.
yeah, was there any other notable things from the study? Did they say anything or
We don't have
where
the
the increases
full
come
study.
from or?
Don't have the full study yet. We just have the funding plan.
So we have 1.8 million in the replacement. So
And your anticipated fund balance for 24 is 2 million, which you should get to. Just show that over there.
Can't read it.
So this is a 3-year study, right?
30.
A 30-year study, but don't we? Like a
We do it every 3 years.
Yeah, okay, that's what I meant. So it'll update again. So do you have the numbers for 26 and 27? How much?
26 days at 1.4.
So 1.4, there it is, okay.
So you could probably ladder your increase up to make it a slower increase and still be in a good, in
You
good
do it over
shape.
2 years there.
Yeah.
If we're at 1.8 now, what is our projected year end number? It is that 2 million at the end?
Yeah.
So we're in line, we're not gonna do a run rate.
Why does it show 1.4 there and 1.3 on the other side?
You're looking at.
This,
1.430 and then on the, over to the other side,
It goes up
the other screen.
Didn't change it.
because that's still compensation
yeah,
oh, is it? I'm sorry.
or something.
that's compensation. Excel spreadsheet.
I don't think that's
It's
compensation.
like tax.
That's the 27. Jacob, go down to the bottom. The
See
right,
that-
the
see that
farthest
already?
right tab.
CR.
Thank you. Yes, apologies.
There you go.
Not changed there. That's,
No, that is-
that's the 1,071. That's what's in the budget. now.
Yeah, that's the,
We received this as we were sitting down at the table.
That's the old one.
It's just increasing by an inflation number. That's not, I think, looking too difficult into what the actual things that need to be fixed.
So do we just always accept the reserve study as is? Do we ever go back and?
yeah, we go back and we, in 22, we went back and asked for a forecast with a different inflation rate because of the inflation, the 9% we were seeing over, and just to compare. And that the committee at that time had a discussion of, do we want to take the 9% number or do we want to take the 3% number that they were utilizing for their first version of the study? And I think we ended up going with the 3%.
I know we don't have this study, but are we able to see, is that number including some type of town hall expense, or is that just everything else? Which I guess we don't know.
So it will include some of the town hall expenses because we told, as part of the conversation, we told them that we hadn't done the windows, the HVAC and all of that. So they pushed it into 25
That would be.
for anticipated
If they're
expenditures.
fixing town hall within the reserve study, then maybe that 1.4 is a 1.2 number, something like that.
It is to note that according to this numbers, he is maybe it's a she, is including the invested, the interest to stay in reserves, and you have it budgeted to go back to.
So they're reducing the amount that's there by the interest?
They're taking that in consideration.
Oh. We don't put that in there.
He's using 2.7.
That would make that number higher then, because we're not including that.
That's my point.
Well, I would say we wait until we get to look at, or you guys look at the reserve study in detail to understand, especially about 851. There's some other items in there that's, you think.
Well, he's got,
Stated.
they have on here that you're gonna put an additional 850 in, but you're also he's assuming you're spending 889 next year. So basically ending up at the end of next year, the same place that you started. Or no, that was this year. That's this year. So
I guess for this year, is that 851 for the rest of the year?
No, that's the full year. Because remember, your reserve study originally said you should fund at around $1 million, but we downgraded it to the 400,000 that was added to the reserve fund by the auditor. And we added that as an additional contribution to the capital fund to undo what the auditor did in end of 22, beginning of.
But I guess baseline, regardless of all adjustments and everything, are we putting $1 million into replacement this year?
No, you're putting 851.
851 is the number.
Yeah.
So we have the proposed budget increase going out or being approved tomorrow night. We're at 1.071. We have this number at 1.43. Is it appropriate to start moving that barometer up a little bit, maybe not to the entire place, but to move it up, knowing that the replacement is going to increase? And I'd rather put a number out that is going to move less than for a number that's going to move not as high up as it's going to be for what the final budget will look like this year.
Do we know what the inflation factor is?
He said it.
Good question.
Well, the big thing is, there's a miss here, right? We're 40% off. So the question I want to know is this 2.5 million projected of spending. I know we only have this high level summary, but does anyone know what comprises that 2.5 million? Because I would recommend not making any adjustments and let's see where the next year falls out. Do we actually need 2.5 million in expenditures this year projected to see? And that's a good quality check on the reserve study itself. Right? So
Does that have something in there for the 851?
That's it, yeah.
Yeah.
How much?
Because we didn't do like the windows, the HVAC and all the big ticket items that needed to be done in 22. Because we've been in limbo. They pushed them back to 25 for the expenditures. So that's at least 500,000 right there.
Oh. Then I'm with John. I think you'd leave it. Well, that's 500. Yeah. Still 2 million is a big number.
2.5.
Well, if you take the
2.6.
500 off for the 851.
I mean, if you look at the forecasted spend over years adjusted for inflation, this is I mean, once you go out 10 more years in the future, which I wouldn't rely on, but if you look at the next 10 years, everything after this year drops way down to 1.4, 1.2, and we're basically a little bit overfunding if we were to go up to 1.4 in the future years. So I would just focus on the 2.6 million this year to see what's in there and see if there's anything that we can push back to another year slightly. So we avoid having a 40% increase in our reserve, contribution, an increase of 40 more percent over the 1 million that we're going to put in now.
I mean, if I understand, there's projects that we can push to later years.
He does have it, you expecting to spend 889 this year. So far, it's only 440. We're spending another 440 this year.
Wouldn't think so.
We'll start resurfacing,
Yeah.
I think we need to see the details.
That's not-
I've seen that top.
Yeah,
I-
I've seen that 2.5, I think that's pretty high. I would expect anywhere between like 1.2 to 1.5 million in any given year, so I think that expenditure is high, that's bumping up that contribution. Yeah, maybe we just leave it as.
I think we leave it as it is. Does everybody agree?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
How quickly can you get just that year before the send the final report? Can you just get what that year looks like, what's scheduled?
I'll
2025,
email them.
and see if they get that and send it out to us and get it over.
When is the final report going to be received?
Yes.
It was supposed to be received this week,
And I wanted it 3 weeks or 2 weeks ago.
so did we.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we've been emailing with him
I think
today.
that's it. Okay. So just stay.
Okay, any other topics of discussion? Financials?
Just for you guys, the final assessment, the 7.7% increase at 130208. That's what the recommendation for the committee is tomorrow, part of the proposed budget on.
I just, again, make sure that everybody understands that it includes a marketing position for kind of,
Correct.
so the.
One other comment in the budget. We've got the 339 plats that are going to be coming in, and we put those in the budget. And, what they're trying to do is beat the increase, because Osceola County is going up 150% on the fees for homes. So that's why they're taking those down so fast. So they're going to end up paying the dues, so they're going to want to build those out pretty quickly. We have no additional sales for any of those new lots that are going to get entitled. Zero. So we know there's going to be some upside. Some homes are going to get built and some homes are going to sell next year. So there's an upside to the budget, that particular income.
But that actually, that's straight to the capital.
Still an upside, whether it goes to capital, we can feed it back into the,
Yeah.
call it Ted or Fred, it's fungible. We can move it back from capital to operating or wherever.
It's an upside the cap.
It's upside to capital. We can
And again-
capital to operating for you.
Manly is projecting 90.
Are they talking 90?
50 single residents or residential homes and 40 townhomes. So.
Okay. There's an upside there. The other thing is, as we think out the 3 year, those plats are going to build out over those 3 years. So we're going to be over the 350 probably in a couple of years, I would guess.
Yeah, Charles and I had a meeting with Tanner from Mattamy. He's their development supervisor, and he kind of gave us a anticipated timeline of when they're pulling plats for phase 3 and phase 4. So we can pull those in.
They've already submitted those plans to Osceola County.
Back to the study for a second, was anything put in there about master planning? Were they aware of those? Or where are we with the master planning?
Master plan comes from capital, not replacement, so I don't think they would have taken it into account.
It's all capital.
Yeah.
I mean,
At least phase 1 is, yeah. Well, no,
well, anything above and beyond, right? They're just looking at replacing things where if we're gonna do something bigger, kind of like the playground here where it was budgeted for 50,000 and it was a 400,000 project. They're not gonna take that into account.
Yeah, there's other things that could be replaced in this based upon the master planning.
That's what I thought. I thought there was some of it.
So it could be offset.
And with their footing replacement, that might be a different schedule where something we put in year 2, we put in year 4, something in 5 comes in year 1. So it all will even out. It's just a matter of where we place it for given years.
All right, we talked about the T-bills. Is there any other discussion?
I want to come back to the resale fee at some point.
Okay.
Go ahead. No, nothing else.
No, no. Capital and projects? Anything we need to know about?
The biggest thing upcoming is the pool resurfacing projects. That's on the board packet for tomorrow. The RFP was issued for the splash pad. Those are the big ones right now.
Which splash pad? Which one? Splash pad.
Lakeside Park.
Lakeside.
So that's a master.
Yeah, master plan at $500,000. Not a cap.
And then you've got Hippodrome in progress, which is another big.
On the full resurfacing, what's the cost compared to our reserve rate now? What that's looking.
240,000.
It's, yeah. It's about 250,000 if you median the two quotes we have in. In the reserves, we need to pull the line by line, split by pool.
Pretty well covered, is what you're saying?
It's pretty well covered. It's covered, but it's pretty well covered.
Yeah, I guess if you can have that for us tomorrow night.
Yes, we
So what is true reserve number, and then it's gonna be the overage.
The Lakeside's a review, so that's capital. That's part of the master plan, part of the master.
Splash.
For the splash.
Splash.
pads.
Yeah.
4 pool serviced.
Those are reservable.
Correct.
Yeah.
The other bigger item I saw on the agenda is the truck. You're coming in for a new truck for 30 grand.
That is out of capital, yes.
So
Everything else was reserved that I saw.
Lakeside number was for 2022 and it wasn't spent, and that was 43.5. So I think, yeah, we'll probably be pretty well covered, but we'll have the specific details.
Which for tomorrow night, I don't know if you can get it quick enough, but if you can give me the out the door price on that and not the MSRP. As far as what the truck cost will be for the one directly. Yeah, with the deal, I try to hold it down on
Out the door with the license.
what the price is.
What a good deal.
Must have been a customer.
Yeah.
30,000 might jump up to 38,000 pretty quickly. BS handling fees and all that other stuff.
Tax of registration.
Okay, Mike, you wanna?
Yeah, Lauren, do you have that capital fund sheet that I sent out? It's titled capital fund. I've got it here, but I'm not connected. This deals with the resale and the penis question, where's the money coming from and all that. It's on that one page, which I put that out and said if anybody has any comments, I think we need something to communicate with the board tomorrow.
Yeah, just
Okay. And I tried to put everything together on one page. There it is. Yeah. Okay. So Warren's got the language here on it from Charlie. And that first part you've seen before, the 331 at the, that, and there's an upside in this, that $801,000 average. Because you pull out of the base, that the 19 at the base price, you look at the mix change then, you can solve through a contribution formula for what the new average is. And I didn't do that. The 801 is the average for the full universe. So it goes up to about $840,000, 829, sorry, 829,758. So it's nickels and dimes, so it doesn't make any difference. So I just left the 809. So from total resale then, we'd have $1,350,000. And we've got the operating allocation for 500. So the annual to the capital fund would be $1,850,000. We're gonna finish this year with 3.5 in the capital fund. If you look at the next 2 years, just go out 2 years, oops. Add the 1.8 to each of those years. You go to 5.3, and then at the end of 2026, you're at 7.2. And then projected expenditures at 851. the number seems to be 2.5 million is a break point, that if it's more than 2.5 million, we're going to build new. If it's less than 2.5 million, we're going to repair. That's what I've heard conversation. Either way, that 2.5 would be used. I think it's either cap for the repairs or down payment, construction financing. You probably have to go outside to finance. So the $2.5 million down payment, probably an $8 or $9 million building. Then phase one is 2.7 for the courts and the splash pads. So that's 5.2. So over that 2-year period, you know, it's all timing. You're gonna have a capital fund of about 7.2 and you're gonna have expenditures of about 5.2. So there's a pretty good cushion there for timing when projects come in. So didn't go out any farther than that. You can start to figure out where that is. Roll down a little bit, Jacob. I don't know what I got down.
Mike, just to clarify, the
Yeah.
2.5 million limit was what was suggested by master plan.
Correct.
Ultimately,
Yeah.
the board's decision.
Well, I think it's gonna be driven more by Click.
Yeah, let's see what the report comes
The
back and see.
engineering.
Yeah, exactly.
That's their swag at this point, so it's a placeholder, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and these projects have, it'll add to our operating costs. The annual maintenance is 85,000 on phase one, estimated by the master plan. And the annual reserve contribution will be $96,000. So that puts the resale and the capital outlook and can finance on one page.
Positive would be once we get, if 851 is rebuilt or repaired. Like 60.
Yeah.
Cents.
Yep, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. It helped to pay for some maintenance or whatever. Yeah.
So Mike, what's the level, I don't do that, what's the level that the sale level that gets you into the point of a buy?
The sales level?
What makes that, what's the level?
Yeah, go back up, Jacob, if you would.
Sure.
So see the third line down? The average sale price on 330 sales, or
Right.
350 is 801,000.
I got that.
Yeah, so it's an $801,000 sale price. Is that your question?
No, my question is where do you kick into the
Oh, the break.
second being higher?
Yeah, it's at divide, well, 1291, I'll divide that by 0.005, and I think it comes out to about 289,000.
Okay.
So that's the break point.
So most of the houses are gonna have that.
You only have 19, those 19 sales are under $300,000. That's what happened.
Okay.
Only 19 sales. So they'd be at that base of 1291. It's now 13 something. It's now 1302. So it's moved around a little bit.
I think you're pretty. 300.
Yeah.
Celebration.
It's condos. Those 19 are all condos.
So,
Okay.
They're not freestanding houses yet.
And the 350 is the average that we see here, right? And so
Average of sales. And there's that upside.
it doesn't include.
It doesn't include those 339 flats.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a big upside in the next 2 years out.
Yep.
I said at the very top, the estimated 350 sales will likely drop to 300 once Island Village is built out, but we'll have that for the next 2 to 3 years. So we've got a good run rate going
Yeah.
into it.
and I think that sale price would probably increase too with the Island Village product out there, the single family.
Possibly,
Homes aren't going down.
possibly. I mean, talking to various realtors and other people, 4 months before any national election, virtually everything stops. As far as, and if you've been watching the real estate market celebration last month, it's been really slow. And prices are coming down on a lot that way overstated what they were looking for again, so
Oh,
it's.
I've seen what's listed out there. Some of it is pretty egregious in my eyes.
It certainly is, especially some of the resales and I finished, to be honest.
Mike, what were those real estate firms gonna tell us?
Yeah, the real estate folks, I talked with a couple of people. One real estate person went out and solicited feedback from others and then talked to me. They don't like to have the 1%. They think it'll put a damper on sales. It's a fee that is too high. They think we should increase fees to all the residents. It's a real deal to live here with all the amenities. So we should have our fees up a lot higher than they are and get funding from there. I did tell the one person that we have $500,000 coming from the residents right now, so that's about $110 per resident, per month. I got the math right, whatever it is.
Sorry.
And then I asked them about, this person, I asked her about the, who should pay and should, and not seller, but about, should we name the person or do we just take it out of the transaction? You know, would it appear on a certain side of the settlement statement? And the feedback was pretty strong that they wanted it named for the buyer because they have so many negotiations going on with this new real estate fees and who's going to pay and how it works. They don't want another thing to possibly, you know, screw a deal up with the negotiation when somebody gets upset or whatever it is. So start with it someplace, and always could be negotiated, so they thought it should stay with the buyer.
So should have fewer revisions to the charter, the easier it is to explain, hopefully.
So
easier
Lauren
to
was saying
get.
before, Charlotte said, yeah, keep it stable. So that's about it. The fact that they're not here, as I explained the last time to her, she probably went back and told some people about it. I said, if you come, I'll make sure you get in at the resident comment period. The fact that they're not here, I think they,
Well, they're
I'll
gonna
make
show
sure
up tomorrow.
they just show up tomorrow. But right now, all is well. See, but they know something's got to be done. The biggest battle cry, I think, is don't put it on our backs and our livelihoods. Put it on the backs of all the residents. And this person said, well, it's not enough if you do that. And I said, no, it's enough. We get through phase one and we have plenty of money. It's within the range. So it's not like we're not getting it. I don't like to talk too much about that operating allocation that everybody's paying going into the capital fund. But that's something that's got a long history on it. So that was it. That's probably what's really heard.
Okay, anything else? Move to adjourn the meeting?
Second.
Thanks, everybody.
Short, so you know, we're going to take next one, really.